You know, after years of working with people, from busy entrepreneurs in New York to fresh graduates trying to navigate the pressure of their first jobs, to mothers doing their best to balance family and themselves, I noticed something strange. It feels like everyone is running, without really knowing where they're running to. And then one day, many of them came to me and said the exact same sentence, almost word for word. I'm exhausted, but I can't stop. Have you ever felt like that? Like you're living in a world that's constantly pushing you to move faster, while your mind is quietly begging for just a little pause? I've seen this so often that I started to realize something. The problem today isn't that people are doing too much. The problem is they've stopped hearing their own inner voice. I remember once a patient, a young woman working in marketing, told me that every morning she woke up feeling like something was chasing her, chasing emails, chasing deadlines, chasing people's expectations, chasing the perfect version of herself that she created in her head. She said, I don't hate my life, but I'm not really living in it. That sentence stayed with me for a long time, because it wasn't just her story, it was the story of so many of us. Have you ever had that moment when you sit down at the end of a long day and realize you did a lot, but you didn't actually feel much? The modern world, especially here in the US, measures everything by speed. We've been conditioned to believe that moving fast means success, that constant motion equals value, that being busy means you matter. People are always busy, always grinding, always chasing, and always anxious. But Stoic philosophy, the thing I've followed and shared with thousands of people, teaches something completely different. The Stoics believed, if you want inner peace, you must learn to pause. Not pause to give up, pause to actually see where you're going. And why? Imagine this, you're driving on a crowded highway, cars speeding past, horns blaring, everything moving at a pace that feels almost out of control. If you keep going like that, chances are you'll lose your way, or worse, crash. But if you just pull over for a moment, turn off the engine, close your eyes for a few seconds, you start to hear the wind, the rustling of leaves, your own breath. You realize that even in all that chaos, there's always a quiet space big enough for you to stand steady. Life works the same way. We can't slow the whole world down, but we can learn to slow ourselves. Slow to think clearly, slow to feel deeply, slow to stay grounded. A friend of mine, an ER doctor in Los Angeles, once told me that what keeps him sane during those 20-hour shifts isn't coffee and it isn't toughness. It's his ability to find what he calls a quiet pocket inside himself, even if it's just 30 seconds leaning against a wall, closing his eyes, and taking one deep breath. He told me, those few slow moments remind me who I am and why I'm here. I believe we all need that moment, that inner place where we can meet ourselves again. The Stoics call this inner slowing, a calmness from within. It doesn't mean withdrawing from society, doing nothing, or avoiding responsibilities. It means slowing your mind, slowing your emotions, slowing your reactions, slowing the way you respond to the world. And here's the interesting part. The more people I meet, the more I realize that most emotional pain doesn't come from what happens to us. It comes from not having time to process what happens. Things just pile up and pile up until people feel like they're about to break, overwhelmed, suffocated, heavy, directionless. So in today's video, I want to walk with you through this philosophy of slow living. A way of living that isn't old-fashioned or outdated, but actually the medicine our overloaded minds desperately need today. We're going to talk about why living fast makes your mind anxious, slow living truly means in Stoicism, and how to live slowly without falling behind. But before we dive in, I want you to ask yourself one simple question. When was the last time I actually lived in the present moment? If you hesitated, if you can't remember, then this video is for you. Let's start this journey together. A journey back to yourself through the art of living slow, living deep, so your mind can finally rest. Why living fast makes the mind restless. When we talk about living fast, people often think of busy schedules, tight deadlines, or stressful jobs. But from a Stoic perspective, and from what I've seen after working with thousands of people, fast living isn't really about how busy your life is, it's about how fast your mind is moving. You can be sitting perfectly still, and your mind is still racing like a storm. You know what I mean, right? One woman once told me that even when she was sitting quietly at her desk, no one bothering her, her mind felt like a machine running beyond capacity, worrying about work, family, what people think of her, and even things that hadn't happened yet. She said, "I can't turn my thoughts off. My mind just keeps running, and running, and running." That's the world we live in today. We live in a time where our brains absorb more information in one day than our ancestors did in months. You wake up to screens, messages, notifications, emails. The world keeps pushing you to respond, to react, to keep up, to run faster so you don't fall behind. But here's the problem: our bodies are modern, but our brains are still ancient. The human mind was designed for slowness, for observing, reflecting, thinking, contemplating. But when it's forced to run at a speed it was never built for, it becomes unstable. When you live too fast, your breath becomes shallow, your body stays tense, your mind stays in fight or flight mode. You lose the ability to distinguish what matters from what doesn't. One of my patients, a young CEO, told me he always felt like there was a noise inside his head. Not literal sound, but a constant mental tension that never turned off. He said, it's not the work that's killing me, it's the speed of the work that's killing me. And what's interesting is that when I asked him to try something simple, take a slow 10-minute walk every morning, no phone, no headphones, he came back a week later and said, "For the first time in years, I feel like I'm actually living inside my own body." Living fast disconnects you from yourself. You stop hearing your emotions. You stop understanding your thoughts. You stop noticing what's happening inside you. And when you're no longer connected to yourself, you lose your inner peace. The Stoics call this the paradox of busyness. The faster you run toward peace, the faster peace runs away from you. 2. What does slow living mean in Stoicism? A lot of people misunderstand the idea of slow living. They think slow living means lacking ambition, working less, or being less driven. They imagine it's some kind of retreat from modern life, as if finding peace requires abandoning the world. But the Stoics, philosophers who lived through wars, plagues, political chaos in the Roman Empire, didn't live like that. They didn't run away from life. They lived right in the middle of it, with minds steady as stone no matter what was happening around them. So, what does slow living actually mean in Stoicism? It's slowness of the mind, not the body. It's slowing down inside, not abandoning responsibility outside. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of Times Square, bright lights, crowds, car horns, music everywhere, everything spinning in 1,000 directions at once, and right there in that chaos, you choose to pause. Place your hand on your chest and take one deep breath. The world doesn't slow down for you, but you can slow down for yourself. That is the inner slowing the Stoics talk about. Stoic slow living comes down to 3 core elements. One, slow in thought before you react. One of the biggest dangers of fast living is automatic reactions. You hear criticism, you get angry, something doesn't go your way, you tense up, you hear bad news, you panic. Fast reactions are rarely wise reactions. The Stoics taught that between stimulus and response, there must always be a gap, 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds. That tiny gap is freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Pause before you respond. In that pause lies your power." I've applied this teaching with countless patients. And once they learn to pause, even just 5 seconds before responding, their entire lives begin to change. 2. Slow in emotion before letting your mind get carried away. Emotions are waves. If you're moving too fast, you'll get swept up in every wave that hits you. Slow living isn't about suppressing or denying emotions. It's about observing them. A woman I once worked with told me that every time anxiety hit, she felt like she couldn't breathe. She believed she needed to move faster, do more, fix everything immediately. But after she learned to slow down, just sit, place her hand on her belly, and take 6 slow breaths, she said, "The anxiety didn't disappear, but it stopped controlling me." That's the essence of slow living. 3. Slow in action so you can do the right things, not more things. Most people aren't fast because they have too much work. They're fast because they're drowning in things that don't matter. Epictetus said, "It is not that we have too little time, it's that we waste so much of it on the unnecessary." Slow living means choosing what's truly worth doing less, but doing it deeply, focusing on quality over quantity. I once asked a businessman, "Out of everything you do each day, how many tasks are actually important?" He paused, thought for a while, and said, "Maybe 3. I replied, "Then why do you let 20 other things steal your peace?" He sat there quietly, and for the first time in a long time, he took a real full breath. That was the moment he realized the truth. Fast living wasn't helping him live better, it was pulling him further away from himself. Slow living isn't rejecting modern life, it's choosing your own rhythm. In a world that constantly pushes us to run, rush, and hurry, slow living is an act of courage. It's like saying to the world, "I choose my peace first." Slow living means sitting with yourself, seeing what's happening inside, and giving your mind permission to rest, even for a few minutes. The Stoics believed, to live well in a chaotic world, you must learn to slow down on the inside, even when the outside never stops. And now, let's move on to the next part. 3 Stoic slow living practices you can apply immediately. In the previous part, we talked about fast living, why it makes the mind restless, and what slow living truly means through a Stoic lens. But here's something I love about Stoic philosophy. It isn't just theory, it's a philosophy meant to be lived, practiced, applied in real life. And if you've ever read Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, or Seneca, you'll notice they all emphasize one thing. To understand without practicing is meaningless. So in this part, I want to share 3 slow living practices, simple, practical, and powerful enough to change not just your day, but possibly your entire life. Method 1. 1 minute pause. Stop for 1 minute to return to yourself. I've taught this technique to patients, clients, entrepreneurs, students, and almost everyone says it helps them regain control faster than anything else. The idea is incredibly simple. Whenever your mind feels too loud, too fast, too chaotic, just stop for 1 minute, just 60 seconds. No phone, no replying, no problem solving. Imagine this, you're at your desk, emails piling up, phone buzzing, coworkers calling your name, clients messaging you. You feel like something is pushing you from behind. In that exact moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let your mind rest for 1 single minute. One of my patients, a man working in finance, once told me that this 1 minute pause saved him from a severe panic attack. He said, "Just 60 seconds of doing nothing made me realize I still have control." Why is that so important? Because most of the time, anxiety doesn't come from things being too difficult. It comes from not having any space to process them. Slow living isn't about meditating for 2 hours a day. It can begin with 1 minute. 1 minute to remind yourself, I am here, I still control my breath, I can start again. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If your mind wanders too far, gently bring it back. A single minute is all it takes to bring it back." Method 2. Do less, but do it well. Reduce quantity, deepen quality. One of the most absurd things about modern life is how we try to stuff too many things into a single day and then judge ourselves for not feeling peaceful. The Stoics lived differently. They were simple yet astonishingly effective. Seneca said, "A busy person is not someone who does much, but someone who wastes time on the unimportant." When you live fast, you get trapped in endless to-do lists. You keep doing, but you're not actually living. Let me share a story. I once worked with a doctor who spent 12 to 14 hours a day at the hospital. He was proud of how busy he was, but he admitted, "No matter how much I do, I still feel like I accomplished nothing at the end of the day." So I asked him, "Of everything you do each day, how many tasks actually create real value?" He went quiet, then he said, "Maybe 2 or 3. So I suggested something simple. Cut 30% of what's unimportant, and devote your energy to what truly matters." 2 weeks later, he came back and said, "I can't believe doing less made me feel more peaceful, more effective, and happier." That is the essence of do less but do it well. When you do fewer things, you create the space to do them deeply. You understand what you're doing, you feel connected to it, you give yourself room to refine it, to put your heart into it. Slow living isn't about doing less to make life easy. It's about doing the right things to make life meaningful. Epictetus said, "Do not do everything, do what is right." That's Stoic simplicity at its finest. Method 3. Be present. Learn to be fully here in each moment. Among the 3 methods, this is the hardest, and also the most important. Not because it's complicated, but because it requires breaking your mind's oldest habit. The habit of running into the past, or rushing into the future. Have you noticed? You're eating, but your mind is somewhere else. You're talking to someone you love, but you're thinking about work. You're sitting in a beautiful cafe, but your mind is worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. I once asked a patient, "During your day, how many moments are you truly present for?" He looked down at the table, sighed and said, "Probably, very few." The Stoics constantly remind us, the present moment is the only thing we truly possess, the past is gone. The future isn't here, only this moment is real. Epictetus said something beautiful. If you are not living in the present, you are living nowhere. And that is the heart of slow living. So how do you actually become present? It doesn't need to be complicated. Start with the small things. When you drink tea, just drink tea. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, feel each step touching the ground. When you talk to someone, look them in the eye. I remember a young mother telling me that after practicing slow living, she realized she had missed so many precious moments with her child. She said, "I was always near my son, but I wasn't truly with him." It wasn't until she learned how to be present, to put her phone down, look at her child's face, hear his laughter, that she felt the happiness she had been searching for in all the wrong places. Presence is the greatest gift you can give yourself, and when you are fully present in each moment, you begin to notice something. This life is much gentler than you thought. These 3 methods, 1 minute pause, doing less but better, and being present, form a steady 3-legged foundation. When you pause, you regain your breath. When you do less but go deeper, you regain your control. When you are present, you regain your life. And when these 3 come together, you gain what the Stoics always aimed for. A mind steady in the middle of chaos. It's not that the world becomes gentler, it's that you become stronger within it. If you've stayed with me through this whole journey, then I believe you've already understood something important. Slow living is not withdrawing from the world. Slow living is coming back to yourself. You see, the world will always be fast, loud, urgent. There will always be another email to answer, another notification popping up, another task to finish, another expectation to meet. But inner peace, the peace we're all searching for, doesn't come from speeding up. It comes from knowing when to pause. When you pause for 1 minute to breathe, you remind your mind that it doesn't have to run all the time. When you do less but go deeper, you remind yourself that value doesn't come from endless busyness. When you're present in the moment, you remind life that it doesn't need to be perfect to be beautiful. It only needs you to actually live in it. The Stoics lived through a time as chaotic as ours. They didn't have social media, but they had war. They didn't have email overload, but they had politics, plagues, and countless unpredictable dangers. And through all of that, they discovered a timeless truth. Inner peace doesn't come from the world becoming calm. It comes from knowing how to stand steady within yourself. I hope that after today's video, you'll start to notice the small opportunities to live slower, those tiny pockets of quiet that hold incredible power. Maybe it's 1 minute before starting your work. Maybe it's 10 seconds before reacting to someone. Maybe it's a meal you truly taste, or a conversation you give your full heart to. These small things, repeated each day, become the habits of slow living. And over time, they become the foundation of inner peace. And if you're here, if you've listened all the way to this moment, I want you to know something from my heart. You're on the right path. Not everyone makes time to care for their inner world. Not everyone is brave enough to look inward. Not everyone is willing to start a journey toward peace from the inside out. But you did, and I truly honor that. If today's video brought you a spark of inspiration, something to reflect on, or simply a deeper breath, I'm grateful to be walking this journey with you here at Stoic Awakening More. This isn't just a place to talk about philosophy, it's a place to live it day by day, video by video, moment by moment. We learn how to grow stronger, calmer, and more grounded. Not through perfection, but through small steps that actually matter. So if you want to keep going on this journey, make sure to hit like so YouTube knows you want more content for inner peace and healing. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any videos on Stoic philosophy, mindfulness, and building mental resilience in the modern world. Share this video, maybe someone you know needs a minute of slow living to breathe and find themselves again. Leave a comment, tell me what part of the video resonated with you the most. I read every comment and I deeply appreciate each one of your reflections. Thank you for spending your time with this video. Thank you for opening your heart, for reflecting, and for walking with me on this journey to rediscover the rhythm of your soul. I'll see you in the next video on Stoic Awakening More, where each day we learn to live a little slower, a little deeper, and a whole lot more peacefully.